and welcome back to another episode of Come Back Stronger, brought to you by Fasig Brooks. I'm Dana Brooks, and I'm joined by Jimmy Fasig, my law partner.
Hello.
Jimmy, we have an exciting guest today,
Yes.
Sadae Rivers, and she's special, and she has a little, kind of tweaks my heart a little bit because she was bullied.
Yes.
You know, I mentioned that because you experienced some of that whenever you were growing up. You write about it in your Come Back Stronger book.
I did.
Do you relate to that any?
I totally relate to it because, and bullying is so rampant, but when I was a kid, I was brought up in LA, in Los Angeles, at least part of my childhood, where I lived in the Mexican neighborhood. My mother's from Guatemala, so I'm half Guatemalan, but I look like a gringo, so I would get beat up by the Mexican kids because they didn't like me. I didn't speak Spanish, and I didn't at the time. I've learned Spanish since then, and they would beat me up every day. Literally, I came home with black eyes and fat lips and bloody noses all the time, and it was one of the things that motivated me, I think, later on, because it gives you this feeling of powerlessness.
Powerless, yeah.
And that's the key, is that, but it taught me what it felt like to be powerless, so that later on in my life I could see that I didn't want to ever feel like that again. Yeah. So I made a decision to take back my power.
And that was what motivates you to help so many other people. And our guest today, Sadae, she's the same way, but unlike you, her abuse was probably less physical because we're all
emotional.
Online and everything now. And you know, you talk to people, and some people say, I wish they would have just beat me up. I would rather they just punch me in the face than torment me online and get this, you know, sea of people that they've recruited to do that with them, because the abuse in that regard, it's not just one time getting your rear end beat and going home and, you know, tucking your tail between your legs and going home. It's relentless. Yeah. It's pervasive, and you know, people have so much more false courage behind that keyboard than they do, you know, talking to you to your face. So people can be so vicious whenever they're online or reaching out through social media. And you know what else is problematic about it is so many people don't know that their children are bullies. Yeah. We talk about people don't know that their children are being bullied. A lot of people don't realize that they have bullies in their home who are tormenting other children. They could be on a device in the back of the minivan, you know, tormenting another kid to the point of where they're going to try to hurt themselves. So I want all parents to listen to this, all young people to listen to this show today, because I think there's going to be some important eye-opening things, but also some good takeaways for what do you do if you do suspect this is going on. But like you, Sadae decided at some point she's had enough and she's going to turn it around and she's going to do for other people. And she started...
Yep, she started a magazine. She started her own magazine. So this is the great part about a great comeback story. Is in every great comeback story, the person that comes back ultimately gains wisdom and knowledge and strength from the hardship, and then is able to use that to help other people. That's exactly what Sadae did. We're going to go to a commercial, and then we're going to introduce you to Sadae when we come back.
Right after this.
We're giving you a game plan on how you can take back control of your life to not just get back to where you were before you started, but also to come back stronger. This is a tragedy in your life, it's an accident, or it's a loss that you've never expected to suffer. But every tragedy carries with it the seed of an equal opportunity. And so our job is to guide our clients to take advantage of that opportunity. And that is the most fulfilling thing that I do in my job. When I give my client that settlement check at the end of the day, if they can walk out of there feeling like they are the hero of their own story and they're proud of themselves because they did what I asked them to do, they took my guidance and they ended up with seeing that light at the end of the tunnel and actually reaching that light, that's what it's all about.
Welcome back. Really excited for this first segment. We've got our law partner, Carrie Roan. She was able to interview Sadae Rivers, and she was just blown away by her energy, her enthusiasm, and her willingness to help other people. I know you're going to like it.
Yes.
Sadae Rivers, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
You are a gorgeous, very accomplished 17-year-old.
Thank you.
And I want to talk about how you got there, because I know you've had some pretty significant struggles.
I did.
To be what you are today.
Yes.
And I think a lot of girls and a lot of people would look at you and be like, she's perfect, she's amazing. But that's not true inside, right?
No.
So I know that you were bullied growing up quite a lot.
Yes.
And I was too. We talked about it a lot before we sat down for this interview. One of the most impactful things that you said was when you were 7 years old. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, in elementary school, people would pick on me for what I wore, my impeccable wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I would always go to school and everyone would stare at me. And because my bully, she told everyone to not touch things that I've touched and not play with me on the playground and things like that.
And you were just in elementary school?
Yes.
And so here you are, 7 or 8 years old, just trying to be you, happy, a little beautiful little girl of color, and somebody is picking on you and saying don't touch things that you touch.
Right.
And then how did that make you feel about yourself at such a young age?
It really lowered my self-esteem. It brought my self-esteem lower than it should have been.
At such a young age.
Right.
And there was one incident that your mom was talking about earlier about something that you did to your face.
Yes. They would call me Michael Jackson, and I didn't want to look like that. So I mixed some chemicals together and put it on my face, and it burnt my face.
Oh.
Made me look worse. Made me feel worse.
Why were they calling you Michael Jackson?
Because I had really curly hair, and you know how he has the little curl coming down from his...
That was his trademark.
Yes.
That's how he made billions of dollars, was
Yes.
his hair.
And some people would tell me that was a good thing, but I didn't think that was
So
a good
you
thing.
were a strong individual already as a very little girl, and everybody tried to knock you down.
Right.
And then did that just progress as you grew older?
The same people followed me to middle school. Well, they didn't follow me, but like we
Went to the same school.
Yeah, we went to the same middle school, and it happened there. It wasn't as worse as elementary, because elementary I was very vulnerable and didn't have that much self-esteem. But in middle school, it started getting better, but not really. And it was, they brought new people into it, and they started picking on me about being flat-chested and being flat butt area.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I told you earlier that they called me olive oil when I was growing up, so I know exactly what you mean. It's very painful.
It is.
Especially when you're just trying to fit in as a girl and figure out who you are at that age. It's extremely painful. So what were some of the things that they called you?
They called me too white. They told me I wasn't acting my race. They called me they still call me Michael Jackson, and they called me a stick.
Yeah.
And a pencil.
I got flagpole. I got flagpole. Yeah. Well, we can laugh about it now, I think, because we're both at I'm obviously much older than you, but we're both at a relatively secure place in our lives where you can look back and laugh. But at the time, I don't think people realize how horrible it is to be made fun of like that, especially as a young girl and as a young woman. And with you being a woman of color, I think it has another level to it.
Yeah, and there were days that I just did not want to go to school, and I was having bad thoughts about stuff, and
Like, what do you mean?
I didn't I wanted to change my entire look. I didn't want to be me.
Who did you want to be?
What they wanted me to be.
Which is what?
Like, well, not, they wanted me to act my race. I didn't really know what that meant.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I didn't really know what that meant.
Who was it, what race people were telling you need to act your race? Or are they saying that you're a woman of color but you're acting too white and you need to act more black?
As in, they wanted me to be, I won't, ratchet. They wanted me to be ratchet.
Okay. And what does that mean?
They wanted me to be loud. They wanted me to curse, because I don't curse. And they wanted me to get a bigger butt, which you can't do that overnight.
With a lot of money, you might be able to. Yeah. So, were these girls friends of yours, or?
My friends, like, they would make fun of me, but it was for fun.
Yeah.
And there were some people that actually...
That was out of love.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yes. But there were some people that really meant it. There were some people that took it to a whole nother level.
I think that's very challenging for women of color, at least from what I understand from friends of mine, that you get made fun of because your skin is too dark, or your skin is too light, or you're too brown, or you're too dark, or you're acting too white, or you're not black enough, or you're too black, or it's like you can't win sometimes.
Right.
And I don't understand. I mean, it's hard enough to be a woman, and then like I said earlier, it's additionally hard to be a woman of color. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you had that pretty much growing up your entire life. So what did you do when you were young to become who you are now? Because you're very strong and you're very confident now, and you came from a very low and dark place of being made fun of all the time. How did you do that?
Well, like I told you, I was very closed door. I did not like talking about my feelings, and my mom noticed that. So she put me in my first pageant, and I dedicated months of learning how to speak in front of others, learning proper etiquette, and that led me to winning my first pageant.
That's really interesting. I think let's take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about that more, because I'm really interested in learning about that.
I like her. She's got a lot of spunk, but she's got a lot of good judgment. She puts off a vibe of somebody who's very grounded and very comfortable with who she is and what her values are. But it was disheartening to me to hear her talk about what she was getting so much grief from, because I think there's just an epidemic of it going on in our country right now, and that is the other. You're not black enough. You're not Mexican enough. You're not womanly enough. You're not manly enough. You're not whatever it is. I look at you and identify you in that group. Yeah. And if you don't stay in your lane and meet my expectations for your behavior based on what you appear to me to be, then I'm going to make things difficult for you. And there seems to be like an epidemic of that attitude in the world. And that sounds like it's kind of what you felt.
Yeah,
as a
extremely
child.
Painful to have to desire to meet other people's expectations when that's not really you. Yeah. And we're going to talk about more.
Yeah, not even be in your own group.
You're going to see how she really has come back stronger from this.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll be right back. When you come into my farm, you see a lot of faces that look like yours. You see a lot of people that had the same problem before they got to work. A lot of people who left kids with mismatched shoes and a lunch bag, you screaming, just because you had an appointment you had to make. We get you. We get you.
You have to go to a lawyer that will understand your story as a woman, because women have different stories than men do, and that's just a fact of life. And if you're a woman that's been injured, either through a slip and fall or a trip and fall in an auto accident, you have to go to a lawyer that's going to understand what your daily existence was like before, what it's like now, what the injury means to your entire family, and what you need to do to come back and be where you were before, and even come back and be stronger than where you were before. They just need to have the courage to pick up the phone, because we are going to take the burden of this accident or you being hurt off of your shoulders. We're going to put it on our shoulders. So you don't have to worry about it. Exactly. You can worry about everything else in your life, but not this accident. We're going to worry about that for you.
Welcome back. We're getting ready to hear our second part of the interview Carrie Roan did with Sadae Rivers right now.
So I think it's so neat that you got into pageants to find self-confidence. And I think a lot of girls have the impression that pageantry is only for girls who think that they're amazing already and they're already beautiful, so they go into pageantry. Whereas you went in thinking that you were ugly and not good enough and you didn't know who you were, and you went in to find that confidence, right?
I understand why people would think that girls who are in pageants would think they're all of that because of the beauty dresses and all the makeup, but it's not really about that. It's about preparing yourself for who you really are and finding your talent, because you have to have a talent in the pageant. And I found my talent was dance. I love to dance. And I learned how to speak in front of others. So pageants is really not just about the beauty. It's really not about the beauty.
Very interesting. So what was the hardest part about pageantry for you?
The speaking. The speaking and saying the right words and finding my quote and my message to get out to the people.
What's your quote, and then what's your message?
My message is to be yourself, and my quote is, fitting in is not important if it means compromising your true identity.
So when you say being yourself, who are you now as you sit here?
I am Sadae. I am very outgoing. I love to entertain, and I love nothing more to entertain. I love to entertain.
Dancing and putting on a show?
Yes, and I love making short films as well.
That's cool.
Yes.
What kind of short films do you like to make?
I love to make horror. I love horror.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's so fascinating to me that you were picked on so brutally when you were little, and then you're sitting across from me, you're a model, you're a pageant winner, you make films, and you speak to people, and you've got like 25,000 Instagram followers. It's such a transformation, such a glow up. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So when you say be true to yourself, what was your quote again?
Fitting in is not important if it means compromising your true identity.
What does that mean? How would you explain that to a girl in elementary school?
Well, first, fitting in. You don't have to fit in. You do not have to be someone you're not, because it will not make you happy in the end.
That's right.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you have to be yourself. You have to love yourself. So you do you. Even if it's weird, right?
Yes.
Because you consider yourself weird.
Yes.
I think little girls need to know that, because you're so stunningly beautiful, but yet you say that you're weird. Right?
Okay, and then the second part is compromising your true identity. When you compromise your identity, you're giving up who you really are to be someone you're really not.
Right.
And that's not healthy. It's not healthy.
And what is an example of how you did that when you were a little girl?
I found my passion. I learned to not listen to others, and pageantry really helped me with that, because it taught me how to speak in front of others, because I had a lot of trouble with that. And it brought me to this point where I didn't care what others thought of me.
That's awesome. So I think from what you said earlier, people are still making fun of you. You're a senior in high school.
Yes.
And now you're a model, and now they have different reasons to make fun of you, right? What do they say about you now?
They say I'm not fit to be a model. I'm never going to make it because of my skin color and things like that.
So, and how are you using that hate? How are you taking that and making it your own and making it your superpower?
I'm taking that as a wake-up call to be me, to not be who they want me to be, show them that I don't have to be who you want me to be, and make them feel like they're wasting their time.
Right. So now their comments just roll right off your back.
Right.
And pretty soon, hopefully, you'll be going to NYU.
I hope so.
And you want to study pre-law.
Yes.
But before you do that, I know you started a magazine, Sadae. So this is the second issue.
First
issue?
First.
Okay. So what is your magazine about?
It's about seeking life's most beautiful moments through originality and not compromising your identity. I put some fashion tips into the magazine to help others who are struggling with finding their style. I'm helping them find their style by giving them tips to look who they want to be, who they want to look like.
Right. So you're not sending a message that they have to look like Naomi Campbell, or they have to look like a certain model.
No, I want them to be their own model. Their own model.
That's awesome.
To be a role model to others as well.
I saw an article in here about being empowered and loving yourself. It says, empower and love yourself no matter what. People are going to judge you regardless of what you do, but being yourself has all the world to do with your happiness. I love that. Did you write that?
Thank you, yes.
And you say live life on your own terms. What do you mean by that?
I mean, be who you want to be. Do not listen to what others are telling you to. Do what you want. Do what you want.
So
dress how you want to dress.
And with Sadae, what do you want to do with this magazine?
I wanted to encourage others. I want to encourage others. I want to make it a big thing, not because I want the attention, but because I want to help others who are struggling with the same similar issues as me, or as I did.
Right. Well, and you're still struggling with
yes,
them. Because
but it's
now you're the beautiful model in school, and now you're getting made fun of because of that.
Yes.
You can't win either way, but you own it, and it's your superpower.
Right.
So I think I read where you are donating the proceeds from Sadae to nonprofits.
Each subscription sold is 25% donated to Black Lives Matter, feeding hungry children, and COVID-19.
Nice. Where can people find your magazine?
SadeMagazine.net.
Cool.
And it will be on Amazon soon.
Nice.
And in stores, hopefully, by this year.
Working on that?
Yes.
So what's next for you?
What's next? I plan on going to college, majoring law.
Good. It's a good profession.
Yes.
What do you think you want to do with your law degree?
I want to do criminal justice. I want to fight to help, because our legal system right now is not where it should be, and I just want to bring change to that. I want everyone to get the justice they actually deserve instead of what the judge actually thinks they deserve.
I think that's a very noble cause. Do you think you'll model when you go up to New York?
Yes.
Good for you.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And what kind of message do you have for any girls or any women that are listening to this now that are feeling the pain of being bullied?
I want to tell them that you don't have to be someone you're not. It's not going to work. It's not going to make you happy.
And that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Right? And it's like the swan, the black swan story. When swans are little babies, they're not the prettiest, and then they grow into something beautiful, which is exactly what happened to you, both inside and out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, what a delight. She is a breath of fresh air.
She really is.
Yeah.
There are so many takeaways from her story.
There are.
I mean, the big thing that I got from it is, or the first thing that I got from it is the fact that she went into a pageant when she was feeling a lack of self-esteem. And I always tell people to push your limits.
Yeah.
Test your limits. There's no way you can know what your limits are unless you test the limits. And that's exactly what she did. She tried something outside of the box, and that gave her the confidence to continue doing the short films and then the magazine. This is a young woman that's going to change the world.
She is. I'm excited. I want to talk a little bit more about how she utilized all the things that are available to her, the pageants, just feeling good about herself, the kind of feedback she gets out of her own activity and her own, creative exploration. So we'll have a lot more to talk about Sadae when we come back. Their life has been changed, and this is for real. And so many times it could be a very intimate part of a man's life. Something that they don't even want anyone to know they're experiencing, much less do they want to share how it's affecting them. It even feels worse when you don't stand up for yourself. Because you can't stand up for yourself among these lawyers and these insurance companies because it's not your area. You don't know. So a lot of times, instead of seeking help, especially maybe from a woman, they just take it, and then that eats on you. People don't lead with their weaknesses, but that doesn't mean they don't exist, and it doesn't mean they don't deserve fair compensation for them whenever those weaknesses and those injuries are caused by somebody else just not paying attention and being careless. That is not your responsibility. It is the careless person's responsibility. And making that person honor their word and honor their commitment to you, that's not weakness at all. That is strength. That is doing the right thing for yourself and for your family, so you can walk with a straight back and your kids can look up to you and say, that's my daddy, he takes care of us. Hey, welcome back. I want to talk about a few things because we do these shows so we can show people that you can be resilient, you can come back from all kinds of adversity and not just be, a stronger person individually, but you can spread that strength and help other people, bring them up and teach them resiliency. But it's kind of hard with this young woman because she made it sound easy.
Yes.
She made it sound easy.
She
sure
did.
But it wasn't. It couldn't have been easy. But I do like this, and I want to talk for a moment about pageants because they get a bad rap. A lot of people think, oh, you're just training your daughters to perpetuate this image of women being ornaments and accessories to men, and that their looks is the most important asset that they have. But that's not really true. And I have judged some pageants, and that's in fact how we found one of our employees who I mentor, and then she's now a very vital part of our law firm. But that's how I met her. And she wasn't there to try to say, I'm a perfect physical image. What she was trying to do was learn to make eye contact walk with their back straight, have poise, be self-possessed, how to debate, how to be able to be questioned by people and speak on your feet. So there's so many things that go with pageantry. And plus, let me tell you this, you can make some money off pageants. I got a friend whose daughter went to college, 2 daughters went to college on the money that they had earned through pageantry. I know a lot of lawyer friends of mine who help mentor the girls who are in pageantry. So I don't want people to be so dismissive of that. But I like that she took advantage of that, and I know what it will do to give them that self-possessed quality. But you got some takeaways. What were you thinking after watching that?
Well, my big takeaway, other than push yourself to the limits, was related to the pageant thing, which is love yourself. And I think one of the reasons why she did the pageant was that so that she could practice loving yourself in terms of fake it till you make it. You've got to act confident to be confident.
Yeah, you do.
And so she went in there and she learned how to speak better, she learned how to perform, she learned how to get up in front of people and to walk with confidence and poise, and that's part of her process that she used to learn how to love herself.
Yeah, and you get comfortable with rejection, because there's only one winner in a pageant. Just like a lot of times there's only one person who gets that job. There's only one person who gets that account, you know, whenever you're in life. So you've got to learn to deal with it, with rejection, and not let it bring you to your knees to where you don't try again and you think that that one experience sums up the whole of who you are. That's not true. But how about her charity? There's 2 things I'm impressed with this young woman. Every person her age is running around with the phone in their hand taking selfies, and they're all over social media, whatever. But how many of them go the extra step to turn that into a magazine, to turn that into a product, that, and then put the thought into what needs to be in that product and what I'm trying to do with it, and then have the wherewithal to get sponsors, to have subscriptions, to be able to put it on platforms, and then do what? Give 25% to charity? Are you kidding me?
This is an example of a young woman who has taken her pain and turned it into a purpose. And that's the beauty of it, because when we're looking at the stories of our lives, you got to realize that all the pain and the suffering and the hardships that we've been through have led us to the point where we can use that wisdom and strength as a part of our purpose in life. That's what she represents to me.
Fuel. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope you follow us on social media and join us at basicbrooks.com and Facebook. Thank you. I like that people who don't have the money to pay for lawyers, they can come to a contingency fee lawyer, someone like us who only gets paid when we recover for them, and they can go toe-to-toe with giants.
You are actually just coming to us, not paying us anything, and if we're successful in getting you money, we get paid. And the more money we get for you, the more money we get. So our interests are totally aligned.
And it's a wonderful system, because otherwise, how many people can afford to go hire a lawyer by the hour just so they can have their day in court? That would be almost no one. That would mean justice is only available in America to rich people otherwise. But the contingency fee agreement allows everybody to go in on equal footing. It levels the playing field. But to me, it's saying we're equal. Okay, just because you have all those resources behind you doesn't mean I have to take whatever you give me. I've got a lawyer that I can afford who can stand up to you on the same playing field, equal ground in front of a judge, and I will get treated the same way those big corporations will be treated.